Welcome to Pharma Insights Unplugged, a platform where we engage with thought leaders shaping the future of healthcare, medical affairs, and clinical research. I'm your host, Dr. Amit Dang, and through this series, we aim to explore the evolving landscape of pharmaceuticals, digital health, and evidence based decision making, bringing valuable insights to professionals across the industry. Today, we are delighted to welcome Dr. Rajiv Rana, Head of Medical Affairs, Asia Pacific at Merck, with over 2 decades of experience in medical affairs, healthcare innovation, and strategic leadership. His expertise in healthcare data governance, policy shaping, and cross functional collaborations is driving transformative change in the Asia Pacific pharmaceutical landscape. Today, we will explore the leadership journey, insights on the digital health, and the future of medical affairs in this rapidly evolving industry. Good morning, Dr. Rajiv Rana. How are you doing? And welcome to Pharma Insights Unplugged.
I'm good, Amit, and thank you so much for inviting me to this podcast to share a little bit of the experience that I've acquired in this 2 decade long journey in the pharmaceutical industry. So, thank you so much.
It's great to see you. I still remembered in my initial days in Mumbai, you were one of the first person whom I met, and it was Merck office. And like 15 years down the line, you are still in Merck. So that's something fascinating, I would say. It's very rare to see that.
I would think, if I would look within Merck, it's not so rare. Because
Okay.
if I would look at, Merck globally, there are so many employees who have completed 3 decades in this
Wow.
organization. So I'm still on that journey. I kind of love this organization. I'm emotionally connected to this
Excellent.
organization, given the length of time that I've spent over here. I've seen a lot of ups and downs
I'm sure.
within work. And I think all of that has added to my knowledge, my learning curve, been challenges as well as opportunities. And I think, it's that's basically a story to tell for someday.
Great. Yeah, sure, sure, sir. So that brings us to the first question. You have been with Merck for over 2 decades, and which is again, quite rare in today's industry. So, what has kept you engaged with Merck's vision, and how has your role evolved over the years? So, it's actually now the first question for you.
Okay, so yes, so now that's the story to tell. Okay.
Yeah,
It's been a little over 2 decades that I'm engaged with the pharmaceutical industry, and I would think in Merck, when I started off on my journey in Merck, it was one man and the army. And I say one man and the army because I was the only medic then, and there was a medical function within the organization, and then of course, a whole army of sales and marketing people. We had around 400 to 600 people in sales and marketing put together, and I had to support this entire organization. So I think this was the first challenge I faced. Okay, it was me having to cater to a diverse range of products spanning multivitamins to specialty products, and some of them even going into the super specialty space. So I think that is where a lot of adaptation and a lot of willingness was required from the side of a medical doctor like myself, in terms of how to cater to customer needs, how to cater to the internal requirements of the organization. And at that time, it wasn't only medical, it was also regulatory. There was an element of regulatory affair that I knew nothing about. So this was
right.
another challenge, but in a way also a big opportunity, because I got to learn something very new. And I think this took me a step ahead of the other medical advisors, my peers at that point in time. So I think Merck for me was the best opportunity that came my way. Very challenging in the beginning, gave me sleepless nights because of the kind of portfolio it had. And then at that time, Merck was also entering into the oncology space. So I think this was another new challenge for Merck as an organization that was moving from a kind of a primary care space into a specialty and super specialty space. So this was a big moment of truth, I must say, for Merck as an organization. And I'm glad that, they chose me for the Indian affiliate to
Got it.
partner with them on this journey. And I call it partnership because being in Merck, I think what I experienced was a lot of openness to you doing new things, trying out new things. It wasn't a compartmentalized organization. we could nicely move between portfolios. We could kind of collaborate well internally as well as externally. There was a lot of free hand that was given to people who are managing portfolios. And I think this was the best opportunity that came my way. So my journey continued in Merck. I never had the thought of exiting Merck. I never had an exit strategy then. I don't have even one now. But
Wow.
the point here is that it has helped me grow. It has kept me challenged. There have been frustrations. At some point in time, you feel, okay, let's call it quits. Let's give it, call it a day and move on and, find something else to do. These
Right.
moments have come my way. But
Yeah.
I think what I learned was, hold on, keep going. I mean, there will always be ups and there will also be downs. And in Merck, there was one thing that I learned is how to manage failures. Okay, and I think this is something that not many people talk about. We don't like touching on the topic of failure. We like addressing success, and there's always best practices, success stories. But has anybody talked about failure and how you manage yourself when you fail? And this is something that I've learned in Merck, and all thanks to the people who worked with me. And these were my peers, my bosses. And I think, that's where the collaboration comes in. It's the kind of relationship you develop along the way that keeps you sailing through in bad times. In good times, of course, you get recognition, you get pulled up, you can do a lot of new things, but there will also be bad times. And these bad times have come my way. And
Right.
it's this set of people that has helped me to sail through. So I think the learning has been tremendous. The opportunities have been huge. I've got a chance to lead the region Asia Pacific. I had a chance to also add into my scope China and Japan, and then I had a brief stint for about a year in Latin America. I was looking after two regions. So all this kind of fueled my learning curve and helped me grow as a leader in the organization.
No, that's excellent. I mean, it's almost like a story of an entrepreneur because this is what happens. Ecosystem keeps on changing, and then any such a challenge comes up, you either give up or you take it as an opportunity to grow, and that's what you kept on doing. That's awesome.
So inspired by you, Amit, you are an entrepreneur, true entrepreneur. You've probably
Thank
not
you,
been
sir.
in the industry, but I've been following you through the years, and I think that's pretty interesting. What you've been doing, and I think you have your own story to tell. And maybe there will be a role reversal at some point in time. I'll be doing your podcast.
Oh, sir, that would be awesome. But thanks. Thank you so much for the kind words. So going on to the next question, sir. I mean, leading medical affairs across the APAC region. What are some of the unique challenges and opportunities you have encountered in this diverse market?
So I think when I look at Asia Pacific and I compare Asia Pacific with the other markets, and Asia Pacific would also include China and Japan. And I mean, China and Japan have their own story that go along with it. So for now, in my narrative, I will leave out China and Japan and speak about the rest of APAC, which I feel is also very vibrant as a region. I think when we look at economics, it's economically stable. There's a lot of political will for growth. So these are what we call as the growth markets. A large part of Asia is pretty intensive, innovation driven. When it comes to data and digital, I think there are huge opportunities that will come our way eventually, starting from real world evidence, real world data, to digital technologies, etc. So all these are the evolving pieces. If I would look at regulations, I could only see that along my journey, the regulations have become more and more stringent. So these markets are getting more moving from semi-regulated to highly regulated markets. But there is willingness from the regulators to ensure that the best of treatments get to the patients in a timely manner. And here's where we see changes in regulatory policy in a number of markets here in Asia. And now there are also reliance pathway and Orbis countries, wherein countries are now leveraging on the registrations in developed markets like the US, EU, etc., and trying to abbreviate their
Right.
paths for regulatory approvals. So, we see what were challenges are now getting converted into big opportunities for us to leverage on. There are certain, areas where I think we will need to work together. And when I say work together, it is both industry, government, the not for profit organizations, academia. And this is on the topic of health inequities. And I think here is where we see big challenges: access to health, access to innovative medicines. I think here there is a huge opportunity for us to work together. in terms of policy shaping, in terms of ensuring how can we contribute to this economy to ensure that our medicines get to each and every eligible patient. And I think this is something that Merck as a company is also looking at very seriously. And we've established a global team now that's
Okay.
going to work on these lines. So I think when I look at the APAC healthcare scenario, I see a lot of evolution. The payer segment is also evolving. What was an
Right.
opportunity in the past today is becoming reality. Like, for example, most of the markets in APAC today are semi-reimbursed. Different levels of reimbursement. We see big evolution happening in countries like India, and then also we see other countries, moving in sync. Eventually, I would think this opportunity is only going to increase and making these markets very attractive for all kinds of investments into health tech, into drug discovery, drug development. Merck as a company is also doing a lot of drug development in Asia Pacific, involving a number of geographies in their global clinical development programs. There's also opportunity for real world data, and I think this is an evolving piece. So the regulations are being framed, and there is data centralization that
Yeah.
some countries are kind of working towards. So I
Right.
think time will tell, and how this opportunity how this opportunity evolves. But I think here is where industry can work early on. When it comes to policy shaping, so that we can leverage on this.
Absolutely, sir. I mean, a lot of discussions are going on regarding how to kind of standardize that data collection with respect to various real-world evidence data sources. So certainly, I mean, if the governments take any initiative on that front and a framework gets created eventually, that would help all the stakeholders.
Right. Right.
So you have spoken about quality healthcare data shaping the future of digital health, public health surveillance, and policy making. So, how do you see data digitization and interoperability transforming patient outcomes in Asia?
So, like I was just saying, data is an evolving topic. Digital is also evolving alongside. I think, both of them today are playing very well when it comes to health tech. And here is where you see a lot of AI tools that are already leveraging on data that is available. Okay. And we see this in multiple therapy areas. So I think this is only going to get better over the
Better.
years. I'm an optimist. Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, I think this opportunity is going to evolve multifold over this decade, and maybe if we look at the next 2 decades, I would think this is key focus. The healthcare data piece is still very fragmented. We have a complexity in this region of language, and that is kind of a barrier. Okay, not all geographies have adopted electronic health records, so a lot of them are still paper based.
Right.
So converting this data into electronic and then moving it from electronic into a centralized system would involve overcoming a lot of hurdles. So I would think when it comes to willingness, we see a certain level of willingness in some areas, although I think this is still work in progress. And
Yeah.
the evolution is moving at different paces. I would say some countries are well ahead. Okay, and these are typically the markets like Australia, Korea, Taiwan, Singapore. Wherein there's a lot of willingness among government, policymakers, hospitals to make their data available for research purposes.
Right.
The data that is being made available also is of certain standard that can be used. Whereas there are other countries also that are following in suit. And this is, these are countries like India, Indonesia. They
Yeah.
have, government programs. There is political will. There are challenges. And here is where we've got to work together to see how we can,
Yeah.
overcome these challenges. Interoperability is an issue. Even when
It's a
it comes
global issue.
to the developed markets, it is an issue. We need to
Yeah.
adopt kind of harmonized interoperability standards so that we can keep moving data for research purposes. And I think there are certain standards. There is a standard that's already available. That's the HL7, the fire. And this is something that is widely used in the US, and I'm sure it will find place rather than duplicating. It's important that we replicate to bring speed to whatever we want to do. We can adapt as the situation deems, but we use what is already available so that we can bring speed to this process on data exchange. And then again, if you look at the data
Right.
privacy laws, cyber security, all these have to be really strong. So a lot of the countries in this region already have data privacy laws, and if not, they're getting there. So I think this will make it a little easier for us to
Right.
understand how we can leverage on these on the data from these countries. There are restrictions, and there will always be restrictions in terms of portability of data. Can this data be moved to other parts of outside of this geography, outside of the country, etc.? So these have to be solved. But at least we see
There is a
that
willingness.
these changes are already
Right.
and they will evolve over the years. It will take time. It's not going to change overnight, but I would think maybe by the end of this decade or so, we should see more use of more real world data getting accepted by regulators, players, etc. And who knows, could be an opportunity for APAC to move into the synthetic data arena.
Got it. Even the government of India, I mean, just like we have Aadhaar cards, so they have a very ambitious plan. It has already started off. I guess it's something called as ABHA. It's like a unique
Yes.
identification number which is going to be provided to all the individuals, and whether they go to a government hospital or a private hospital, once you punch in that unique number, one could retrieve the health records. Of course, I mean, as you mentioned, it's going to take some time, but at least there is a willingness to make
There
things
is a
happen.
willingness. Unfortunately, at this point in time, it is voluntary, and it is left to the patient to upload his or her data
Right.
onto the onto the system.
Right.
We have got to use it, then it has to be of a certain level of robustness so that we
That's
can
true.
then apply it to various research methodologies.
Got it. So Merck is making bold strides in mRNA technology, aiming to revolutionize treatments for cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and muscular dystrophy. What are the biggest breakthroughs in advancing mRNA-based therapies?
So mRNA, I mean, it's a very interesting topic, and if I was just reading a little bit about it because and if I would see, we've seen mRNA come in, or we started hearing about mRNA technology with COVID.
COVID,
And I
yeah.
think Merck has been one of the early starters. So it's not Merck Healthcare, but it's Merck Life Sciences. So we have lipid nanoparticles that we manufacture and provide to other companies that are working on mRNA therapeutics. And these are essentially that are in preclinical testing. There are around, for over 400 programs that are in preclinical testing. From here, over 100 of these programs are essentially targeting cancers and rare diseases. Yeah,
Got it.
so the lipid nanoparticles, I think this is a form of delivery of mRNA. So this is something which Merck is manufacturing, but Merck is the first contract testing development manufacturing organization. Okay, it's called a CTDMO. And here's where we kind of look at testing of mRNA tech, right from setting up the manufacturing process to testing finished formulations, commercial scale up, etc. So, this kind of support is offered by Merck to the companies that are kind of developing this technology. And that's basically where Merck fits in currently in the space on mRNA.
Got it. You have emphasized external partnerships and cross-functional collaboration as key drivers of innovation. Can you share an example of how collaboration between pharma, government bodies, and digital health has brought a meaningful change?
So, like I said, this space is fast evolving, and I would think the opportunities that we are exploring over here are in terms of public awareness and patient awareness. Okay, and then use of healthcare apps or health tech apps to improve adherence and treatment compliance. So, we are currently working in the spaces of these thyroids and endocrinology. Okay, wherein we have healthcare apps that are part of our patient support programs, as well as
Yes.
we have deployed apps so that patients who are receiving treatments of antihypertensives can know when to take the medication, and
Right.
by these reminders, they can be adherent to the treatment for longer than if they were not using these apps. So you see that typically when it's chronic therapy, the dropout rate is very high, and especially for diseases like diabetes. There are no symptoms. Patients sometimes stop the treatment and then they might end up in complications. So we don't want this morbidity or mortality to come in the way of the patient journey. And here is where these apps hopefully they would improve the treatment compliance and in a way help delay the progress of complications. So, these are some examples that come to mind when we are working with the developers of digital health. We are
Right.
also partnering with the government so that the awareness programs that we do can be done to scale. It's just that the reach using a public body is much larger than going there as one company.
I mean, I just remembered when you talked about this collaboration, there was a collaboration that happened between Fitbit and the Singapore government regarding how to track the fitness, and that has an implication on the premium of the insurance that people are supposed to pay.
Yes.
So I guess this whole concept of digital
Yes.
therapeutics and
Yeah, so I think this is an opportunity, like you talk about, Fitbit and the premiums. I think there's also a linkage of diabetes, and because today, premiums for diabetes, either you don't get insurance. If you're type 2 diabetic, you may not get insurance, private insurance, or the premiums are very high, even if you get this insurance. But what insurance companies also could do is monitor these patients, look at their HbA1cs, and if they are good, then patients could be incentivized through low premiums so that they can get good coverage, and at the same time they don't pay that much, so they take care of their health, the complications, etc. So I think there are opportunities through these partnerships. It's just that the willingness and the collaborations. I think you need
right,
strong drivers within the
right.
organization to strike these collaborations and see them through.
Got it. So, with APAC countries moving towards centralized healthcare data, what role does medical affairs play in policy discussions, and how can pharma leaders contribute to shaping a patient-centric system?
So, if you would look at the vision of pharmaceuticals, all of them are centered around patients. Okay, so I think that is the uniqueness of the industry. The industry is typically working for patients, and some of them are even working for public. So, like for example, they are addressing primary prevention, like we are, for example, pre-diabetes. Okay, so it is you may not have patients with pre-diabetes. You generally have to go to the public and see, who are these.
Yeah,
Who are these potential patients?
yeah,
So I think here, when it comes to these kind of topics that move beyond the domain of patient and to the public arena, the need for collaborations with the government organizations, with academia, become even more important. Simply because of the volumes, the reach, etc., that will have to be catered to. In the oncology space, I would think, when we talk about companion diagnostics, biomarker testing, etc., I think here is where, we're going to very niche areas, personalized
right,
medicine, and where private partnerships, building up capability within the public hospitals. So I think these are all opportunities that will help us be a little more focused towards patients, the right treatment for the right patients. And then we call it personalized medicine, and will also help improve the access. Patients get the right drug. The eligible patients get the right drug. So I think this is the opportunity that we are also working towards. We have a number of drugs that are very targeted for certain diseases in cancer. And I think here is where these collaborations have brought a lot of value uh, to patients.
right. Sir, in your experience, what leadership qualities are essential to drive innovation, change, and navigate the future of medical affairs successfully?
So I think a lot of leadership qualities. If you're talking about innovation and change management, it's about changing the mindset. Innovation can be driven through curiosity, and people just don't become curious overnight. For me, I think it is you need to select out the population of employees who are curious, who are pushing themselves to do things differently, to learn new things. And I think these people should be encouraged. Okay, so these are the people who you help them through mentors. You help them by giving them their space to try out new things. So I think for me, in short, supportive leadership is critical when it
Excellent.
comes to innovation, but also at the same time change management, because change management, like I said, is about accepting something which is different from your way of work.
Right.
And here is where, if people are not supported at that time, then not many of them will want to go in that direction. If they are not incentivized for effort and only rewarded for results, then they may not want to, deviate from the norm. They will always want to stick to the norm. They
Absolutely.
want to stick to the comfort zone because they know that in the comfort zone, they are able to deliver. So why will they want to shift and do something
Right.
different? I think the mindset of people, but also the mindset of leaders needs to be changed. It's a journey for all of us. So I think when it comes to leadership qualities, learning agility also is an important one that leaders should be able to imbibe, but at the same time also be able to drive.
Certainly, sir. Easier said than done. And rewarding efforts over the actual KPIs is really a difficult thing. And I guess that's what perhaps defines a leader. If he does that, definitely there is tremendous chances of growth in that particular company. Sir, this brings us to the last question of the podcast. If you had to predict the future of medical affairs and pharmaceutical innovation over the next decade, what would be the key trends and transformations to watch?
I think we've been talking about these trends and transformation. I mean, for me, my bets would be digital health and real world data. I think these are the
Got
two
it.
areas that are going to exponentially evolve. We see already, there are a lot of tailwinds in this space. AI, for example, is coming in a big way.
Big way.
A lot of willingness to change the way we look at patient data, real world data that is generated. Availability of real world data is getting more and more available. So with all of this, there's going to be use of this data. There's going to be applications of artificial intelligence to the data. We're going to have predictive models. We're going to be able to use AI very early
Right.
on.
Right.
When it comes to treating diseases or even diagnosis of diseases. So all this is going to change the way we look at patient care in Asia Pacific.
True. So, Dr. Anna, thank you so very much for sharing such insightful perspectives with us today, from the evolving landscape of medical affairs in APAC to the future of AI, mRNA, and the real world evidence in pharma. Certainly, your journey is like a testament to what sustained leadership, collaboration, innovation can achieve in transforming patient care across the region and beyond. So, we would really like to thank you for spending and giving your valuable time to us today.
Thanks, Amit. Thank you so much for
Thank
engaging me
you.
in this podcast.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much.